Hi, I'm going to do my presentation on the blood vessels and the different types, compare and contrast. I'm going to begin with arteries because that's where blood gets pumped from. I picked pictures because I'm not an artist, but I'm going to kind of focus in on these a little bit as I talk. Arteries are afferent, meaning they carry blood away from the heart. Their tissue structure is more resilient. It's thicker, and you can kind of see that in these pictures. This is this is the artery, this is the vein, but you can see how this is thicker. It has to be more resilient because it withstands pressure since it's at the proximal end of the blood being pumped through from the heart. You have three kinds, and this picture kind of shows you a cutaway. Again, you see the thicker wall as opposed to the thinner wall. And I'm going to talk about the different layers in a moment. But you have three kinds of arteries. You have the conducting artery, that's the largest, such as the aorta and the carotid. You have the distributing artery. They deliver blood to very specific organs. And then you have resistance arteries, which are the smallest, just before you get to capillaries. And I just kind of wanted to show you some other pictures I have, and I'll talk about them in a moment. And since blood goes from the smallest resistant arteries to capillaries, I'm going to talk about the capillaries next. And I want to go back to this picture because it kind of shows the circulation from arteries into capillaries. And this is kind of a cutaway of capillary that would be right here. They're very tiny. And capillaries are where the exchange of nutrients and wastes take place between your blood and tissues. The walls are very thin. They're also called microvasculature vessels. Took me a minute to practice that. Then you go from capillaries to veins, as this shows you right here. This is actually a venule. They are efferent, meaning they carry blood toward the heart. Their walls are thinner. You can kind of see that right here. And again, up here you can kind of see the different thickness between this layer and this layer. And those thinner walls allow the vessels to expand a little more easily. Veins actually hold more blood at any given time, about 64% of at any given time. And since they're on the distal end of the pressure of the pumping, they don't need to be as resilient. So that's why they have thinner walls. You have five types. You have your post-capillary venules, that's the smallest. They get the blood from from the capillaries. Then you have muscular venules, which get your blood from post-capillary venules. Then you have your medium veins, like the radial and the ulna veins. Many of them, the tunica interna, which I'm going to explain a little bit more, but that's this layer here, that's the internal layer. It folds in on itself, it forms venous valves, which keeps your blood from dropping back from gravity and keeps it on its upward journey. Then you have venous sinuses and your large veins. An example of the largest vein would be your vena cava. All of the vessels do have three layers, and I kind of wanted to show you, here's your artery, your vein, and then capillaries. But I'm going to focus in on the layers here for a moment. The tunica interna, that's it's the endothelium that's on the inside. It's the part that is exposed to your blood. It secretes the chemicals responsible for dilating and constricting the vessels. Then you have your tunica media right here, this layer here that is made of smooth muscle and elastic tissue. And this is the part that helps classify the vessels. It helps you identify arteries and veins. Then the final layer is your tunica externa. This is the outermost layer of connective tissue. It merges, as you can kind of see here in this picture, with neighboring organs and vessels, and it acts as the anchor for all the vessels. And one last picture, just so you can get a feel for the size, your artery, your vein, and capillaries with adipose tissue. Okay, thank you for watching.